Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Pigskin Addicts. Back again with another video. So you guys see the title of this video. You guys obviously see the thumbnail, right? This is in correlation to an article that I picked up on NFL.com midway through the week, last week, right? And I thought this article was a good article to save, right, for this type of occasion. And I thought it really did a good job at really pointing out why the Chargers would move on from Brandon Staley. Pretty much covers a lot of the same points that I went over. Even though the article is very brief, it does give you a very good overview of how we as Charger fans should look at Brandon Staley, how we should look at a potential job opening as well, too. So I want to get to the article. It's by a writer named Kevin Patra. I don't know if anybody's really familiar with him. He kind of, covers, a variety of topics as far as the NFL goes. He's not a beat writer. He's not, specifically covering one team. He kind of covers a lot of different topics. So this is, I think, an outside voice, an outside opinion that I think, really does put things in perspective of how the Chargers are viewed outside of the Chargers bubble, right? Chargers social media, just Charger fans in general. This gives a general view of how the Chargers are viewed, how Brandon Staley is viewed, and how this potential job opening can be viewed. So without further ado, let's get into the article. Fourth down decisions aside, Staley's club has underperformed while facing lofty expectations. Through his first 29 games now that we just came upon the Raider loss yesterday, still the Chargers sit at 6-5 with a chance to make a run at the postseason. Yes, they have dealt with rough injuries, but so have most clubs. I love to beg offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi to open up the offense to utilize Justin Herbert's massive arm and athleticism, but that'd be like asking a Christmas elf to play Santa Claus, not in the DNA. So I want to pause it there. That was a very, very, very thinly veiled shot at Joe Lombardi. Again, I think these outside voices, you need to start paying a little bit more attention to them as the season goes along. This is how the Chargers are viewed. This is how Joe Lombardi is viewed, right? A lot of people do not have confidence in Joe Lombardi, right? And I think a lot of Charger fans are really on the same page there. We're all on the same page as far as us not having confidence in the offensive coaching staff. We know that Joe Lombardi has really, really underachieved, and his results show up on the field. So I think that is something that should really be paid attention to. Very, very thinly veiled shot at Joe Lombardi. And, I think it is apropos, though. I think it is deserved. And again, this is what the Chargers are being viewed as outside of the Charger bubble. Staley's Chargers have yet to beat a team that currently has a record of 500 or better. 2 close losses to Kansas City does not a successful season make. I believe Staley needs a strong end-of-season run to the playoffs to ensure he gets a third campaign. The Chargers would likely have the most desirable head coaching spot if it opened this offseason. Now, that is what I want to focus on. That very, very, very last sentence in the article. The Chargers would likely have the most desirable head coaching spot if it opened this offseason. And I think that's something that a lot of us fans, we need to really recognize, right? This job would be a dream job for, I think, most coaches, right? Even if you are a coach who has had success in the NFL, if you have had playoff success, if you are a college coach who has had success at that level, this is a dream job, right? Being able to attach your name to Justin Herbert. There are not that many coaches in the league right now who are happy with their quarterback situations, right? There's coaches who have been in the league for a long time that are not happy with their quarterback situation. Super Bowl winning head coaches, right? Bill Belichick in New England. Is he all that happy with his quarterback situation? I don't think so. Mike Tomlin, is he all that happy with his quarterback situation? I don't think so, right? There's a lot of questions to be asked about a lot of the quarterbacks around the league, right? Very few franchises know that they have their quarterback for the next 10 years, right? When you go down the list, that list is very small. Very, very small. That is the one position that you have to get right in order to have success. You can have every other part of your team as strong as you want it, but if the quarterback position is not shored up, and if you don't have the franchise guy, right, you are going to be having a lot of questions at that position. That is the position that you have to get right. And to be honest with you, that is a position that gets a lot of coaches fired. There have been many coaches come through the NFL, right? Some good, some bad, right? Even the good ones get grouped in with the bad ones because they were not able to fix the quarterback situation for a certain franchise. And I think when you're looking at a potential job opening with the Chargers, this obviously becomes the most attractive job out there on the market, right? A lot of people want to attach their name to Justin Herbert through 29 games, right? Through 29 games of the Brandon Staley era, we have seen that he cannot get it done. He just cannot get it done, right? And even though the season is not over, it is currently looking like the Chargers will not make the playoffs for a second consecutive season. To me, I think this is something that gets Brandon Staley fired. Now, when Charger fans think about the past firings, Mike McCoy, Anthony Lynn, right, the two most recent firings, you have to look at those firings in a different light than a potential Brandon Staley firing. Why? Both of those coaches, Anthony Lynn, Mike McCoy, they both took over the Chargers with Phillip Rivers as a starting quarterback, right? Now, as much as I love Phillip Rivers, as much as he is my favorite Charger of all time, he was a guy, his ceiling was defined, right? He can have some success and, he can win some games if everything around him was perfect, right? If you wanted to win a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers, everything around him had to be perfect. You had to have a great offensive line. You had to have really good weapons, right? And the defense really had to be good and had to be able to get off the field, right? And then even at that point, Phillip Rivers had to not turn the ball over at the most inopportune times, right? This is what had to happen in order for Phillip Rivers to win a Super Bowl. It never happened, right? We get it. We understand it. But, right, those respective jobs, Mike McCoy takes over 2013. Phillip Rivers is in his 9th year, right? Anthony Lynn takes over right after him. Phillip Rivers is now in his 13th or 14th year, right? This is a team. This was a team with a defined ceiling with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Justin Herbert, through 2 years and some change, almost 3 years, really has no ceiling, right? We have not seen the ceiling for Justin Herbert. What can Justin Herbert do? He can do everything physically as a quarterback, right? What are his weaknesses as a quarterback? He doesn't have very many. He can do everything, right? He is big. He's athletic. He has a power arm. He is accurate. He can read defenses very, very quickly, right? And he has no problem checking down. He's not too greedy, and he doesn't turn the ball over at a very, very alarming rate. So Justin Herbert really, as a quarterback, when you look at what he can do from A to Z, his weaknesses are very, very few and far between. Very few and far between. I think the Chargers brass, I think the Chargers ownership knows that they really can't mess around, and they cannot do too much of this wasting Justin Herbert's prime years, right? Through 3 years, Justin Herbert, no playoffs, right? This is something that has to get changed. You cannot go into Justin Herbert's 4th year and not make the playoffs again. This will be an indictment on the franchise. This is not going to be an indictment on the player. This will be an indictment on the franchise. Everyone knows that. Everybody knows that. So when you're looking at this potential job opening, you understand that this is going to garner way more interest than those other job openings when Mike McCoy was hired, when Anthony Lynn was hired, even when Brandon Staley was hired. Justin Herbert is a bona fide superstar in this league. This team is ready to win now. They just need to be led the proper way. They need to be coached the proper way. This team is ready to win now. So when you look at it from that standpoint, the Chargers are going to get a lot of interest from a lot of different coaches. There are going to be NFL coaches who are currently coaching teams that are going to be interested in this potential job opportunity. There's going to be college coaches who are under contract with different colleges that are going to be interested in this potential job opening. There's not going to be a short list of candidates for this. The Chargers are going to have literally their pick of the litter as far as coaches go. There's going to be a lot of coaches that want to get back into the league, that want to tie their names, that want to tie their legacy to this superstar quarterback. People have to understand that. This is the biggest difference between the job opening, potential job opening now, and all those other job openings that the Chargers had previously. There wasn't too many coaches. There wasn't too many coordinators. There wasn't too many football people in general that wanted to tie their legacies to Phillip Rivers. There just wasn't, right? And whether that's fair or not, that's a discussion for another day. but there just wasn't. There's going to be a lot of people that want to tie their legacy to Justin Herbert because they know that he can do things that other quarterbacks in this league cannot do, right? So this is going to be a very, 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 very different process. This is going to be a very different feeling, just, in general, right? The atmosphere, all the energy around this is going to be different. The Chargers are going to have their pick. They're not going to need to go with the first-time head coach again. They are going to have their pick of the litter. They can have somebody who has had some success before. They can have somebody who has, even won a Super Bowl before. But there are going to be coaches lining up to attach their name to this quarterback and attach their name to really getting this quarterback to the next level. Brandon Staley was not able to do it. That's a demerit on him. So any other coach coming in is going to be elevated just based off of the failures that Brandon Staley has had as Justin Herbert's head coach for the past 2 seasons, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this, guys, and we need to look at this from a different standpoint. We need to step back, look at the bigger picture. This is not the same type of job opening that it was even 2 years ago. Justin Herbert is a superstar quarterback. There's not very many job openings where superstar quarterbacks are the leaders of teams. There's just not that many job openings that come around like that. So this is one of the few and far job openings that a lot of different coaches are going to want to jump at the opportunity to take. So we need to look at it from that standpoint. I think it's very, very important, especially considering the loss to the Raiders yesterday. It was a very, very bad loss. And I think, like I said in my live stream yesterday after the game, the bloom has completely off the rose for Brandon Staley. Everybody knows what's going on, and I think his days really are numbered as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. But we'll see what happens going forward. There's 5 more games left, and I think at this point right now, everybody is starting to look towards the offseason. I think the playoff hopes are really, really starting to die slowly week by week. So we'll see what happens going forward. Still 5 games left. They're still not out of it mathematically, but things are not looking all that well. But that is all I have for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me yesterday for my post-game live stream. I will be doing it again next week after Sunday Night Football. So we'll see what happens. But if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Can't thank you for all the support. And don't forget to hit the like button on the way out as well, too. I will be back again tomorrow with more content. And until next time.